Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to yet another very special effort. And this time around, it's really special because we've got good friend and colleague, our consulting editor at Network 18, Rahul Shivshankar, with me, because we are in conversation with someone who cannot take just 2, 3, but many people questioning him because he's not just an engineer, student of science, but deeply embedded in spiritualism. And this is his book, his latest effort, Ramayanam. A story which is the Adi Kavya, which has been told many times over, ladies and gentlemen, over thousands of years, but it still remains perhaps the most revered books in terms of teaching values of humanity. There are two big stories as far as our Itihasa is concerned. The first one is the Ramayana, the Adi Kavya, the biggest of the poems ever composed. And the second one is Mahabharata, which gives us all of our life lessons. But this is about Ram. And Dushyanth Sridhar ji, namaskaram.
Namaskaram, Anand. Namaskaram, Rahul.
Namaskaram.
Fantastic. Good to do this conversation. Why Ramayanam and what's so different about this Ramayanam?
One, Srimad Ramayanam has a very deep connect with our civilization, with our culture, the way we even dress, the way we think, the way relationships work, and its influence just not ends with the boundary that we see as Bharata Desham today. It travels all the way to Persia, all the way to Tibet, all the way to Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and till the archipelago nation of Indonesia and Malaysia. So Ramayanam has such a big influence, so much so that it is just not in Sanskritam that Valmiki has presented. We have other Kavis who have done it beautifully, equally beautifully in other Bharatiya languages. So this is one such work. And second, the most important thing is there have been a plethora of people who have written Ramayanam before, like say Rajagopalachari, famously known as Rajaji, Kamala Subramaniam, R.K. Narayan. We have a modern retelling, many people who have done that. But to understand a work of such significance, commentaries become very important. So we have 6 famed commentaries to Ramayanam in Sanskritam, and whatever WH questions people have, where, when, why, all these questions have already been answered, just that they have not found space in most books. So I have made it, I have tried, I would rather put it this way with a lot of humility, I have tried my level best to make this a very easy, simple, enjoyable reading. At the same time, intersperse and embroider those answers such that the reader doesn't find it heavy. So people across ages and across communities and across religions should be reading this book.
Well, Mr. Sridhar, you talk about its appeal, but it also appeals to a huge eclectic mix of people here in India. Talk us through a little bit of that, because when the Ram temple was inaugurated on January 22nd, we saw so many other Itihasas being woven into the story of Lord Ram. So how does this complement that effort?
One, let's say with respect to textiles, a simple example. When Sita was being kidnapped, we often hear and we have often seen that Sita during the exile period was wearing the Valkalam, the forehead hermitess dress, which is not true. As per Ramayanam, as per commentators, Dasharatha ordained that she should be wearing silk clothes. So while she was kidnapped, Taddakulankamurtau Tanmanjira Pratimaninade, says Vedanta Deshika. Her sari had the border of Hamsa, the mystic bird, on it. So the reason why I am giving you this example is even to the detailing of textiles, Ramayana has had an influence. So why not reach all the communities? So Valmiki himself was not into the Brahmana community when he gave this Kavyam, which is often mistaken that it's a Brahmin who was given this work. No, it was not a Brahmin who gave this work. It was about a Kshatriya called Rama. In fact, Ravana was a Brahmana who was killed. He was extremely skilled in the Vedas, extremely knowledgeable in scriptures, yet he was killed for an immoral act. So whichever caste you belong to doesn't matter. It is only your nature, your demeanor that will determine. And this reopening of the temple, Rahul, that you brought up, brought different communities together, because we have had a great poet in the south of India called Nammalvar, who did not belong to the Brahmana caste. But he says, Karpari Ramabirane Allal Matrum Karparo, if you desire to have an inspiration, a role model, who but Rama could be a role model. So a person who is not a Brahmana praises about a Kshatriya, that Kshatriya who killed a Brahmana. So every myth is busted in Ramayanam, and Rama was extremely affectionate towards Guha, who was a nishada, a forest and a boatsman. He was the one who accepted the phalam given by Shabari, who was a lady who lived in the forest. Nishada naam neta kapikulapatihi kapi Shabari. Because we often call her Shabari.
Yeah.
We don't know her name. Shabara means one who belongs to the forest clan. We don't even know her name. So she was addressless. But Rama went to her house, accepted her atithyam, her hospitality, just as a sign of such harmony in our society, even in those days.
And you refer to that in the
yeah.
Guha. You refer
Guha
to
episode.
that. Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's very interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Very interesting.
There are many questions which are around Ram. One is Ram, you said he spread beyond the current contours of Bharatadesham into Persia, into the archipelago of Malaysia, Indonesia, and all the way to Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, and even deep into what is today called Xinjiang territory. There is mentions of him there. But Ram does not belong to South India. Ram does not belong to Bengal.
So, yes, there is a certain myth, a certain narrative that's set up by a section of political leaders in Tamil Nadu, which cannot be generalized to the general public. Yes, Ram should not be belonging to Tamil Nadu because the most popular chief minister of Tamil Nadu was M.G. Ramachandran. His wife was Janaki, and Jayalalitha used to go temple after temple. And one of the acharyas, while celebrating Rama's qualities, says Rama is a treasure trove of karuna, compassion. So he says, Karunanidhi ilalo. Hey Rama, you are Karunanidhi. So Karunanidhi, Jayalalitha, Janaki, and Ramachandran. And still the state says we don't have a connection with Ram, and that too with an ideologue like Periyar, who was a Ramaswamy Nayakan.
Yeah.
So it's an irony though, but the state, with little data that I have known, comprises 80+% of the Hindu population, and this is the state called Tamil Nadu that receives the maximum tourists in the country, both domestic and international, and 85% of the tourists go only to the temples constructed by the Pallavas, Cholas, Pandyas, Vijayanagaras and Nayakas, who through all their inscriptions have expressed how much they are descendants of Rama. How many yagas they have done. So the state is extremely devoted. In fact, even the political leaders may seem as if they are not devoted, but their wives do go to the temples.
But the other question is, how is Ram Maryada Purushottam? Why is he called a Purushottama or Uttama Purusha? In this case also, when Valmiki is welcoming, right in the beginning chapters, you mentioned that Narada comes to visit Valmiki, and he poses 16 questions, saying who is one who has these 16 qualities? And the answer is Rama.
Correct.
But if he was such an Uttama, and he says beyond that, you have written in that Narada says he's got so many qualities beyond that. If that is the case, why is Ram called as someone who let go of his wife? Why is Ram called as someone who never put his Pati Dharma, never trusted his wife, had to do Agni Pariksha, then dumped her and abandoned her in the village, did not even inform her properly what is going to happen? Why is he seen as a chauvinist? Why is he portrayed oftentimes as a chauvinist?
Sure. I'll answer this in two parts. One with respect to the word Purushottama. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says Purusha, Utpurusha, Uttama Purusha. The one who is different from the insentient matter, the one who is different from the Nitya Suris, the Baddhatma and the Muktatma. So he's called Purushottama. Tama means best. So Purushottama, the best amongst Purushas. The other connotation is Agragami Purushaha, the one who is proactive. Stephen Covey says, be proactive. Yeah. You take the first step. So Rama took the first step. So Agragami Purushaha, the one who takes the first step is Purusha. Puru Bahu Sanotiti Purushaha, the one who is extremely magnanimous, so much so after giving that even his palms have turned red. So he's so magnanimous. Puru Bahu Sanotiti Purushaha. So in many, many ways, he was very magnanimous in giving away the kingdom to Bharata. He said, I am ready to relinquish the kingdom. He said, I will take the lead to go to the forest. So that way he's Purushottama. Now coming to the questions cast, probably some fault lines or some blemishes on him. One with respect to how could a person so revered, so respected, ask his wife to undergo the Agni Pariksha? Lakshmana, while Rama and Sita left to the forest, he said, Sabhratus Charanaugadham Nipidya Raghunandanaha Sita Muvachatishayam Raghavam cha Mahavratam Aham Sarvam Karishyami Jagrataha Swapataschate. When both of you are going to the forest, I vow that I shall be serving you while you are awake, even while you are asleep. So Lakshmana accompanies them. 13 full years this man selflessly serves his brother and sister-in-law. When Sita asks Lakshmana, hey Lakshmana, go behind Rama because I sense that there is some calamity that's going to happen. Lakshmana says he's Ajata Shatru, he's invincible, nothing can happen. That time Sita says, I thought you've been serving selflessly all these years, Lakshmana. Little did I realize that you want to initiate a relationship with me. So there are 3 verses in Aranyakandam where she maligns the character of Lakshmana. After rescuing Sita from the clutches of Ravana towards the end of the war in Lanka, Rama, besides being a beloved husband, which he is completed the duty of, he was also an administrator. So he thought, if a mistake has been done in my family, I should publicly reprimand so that even my family members know that I am a very unbiased person. So he calls Sita, throws the same accusation at her in such a way that she has to go and plead to Lakshmana, light the pyre for me. So it was a prayashchittam for the mistake that she had done. It was in no way raising questions. This may seem a bit odd to us, Anand and Rahul, because we are living in times when you're accused of a certain mistake, even if you're proven, not proven, you still want to run a government from your own jail. So we are living in such times where we can't even relate to what standard Rama had said.
This concept of dharma or righteousness does not exist in today's world.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And the other part which I have to clear is the other question. Abandonment of pregnant Sita. So there is an incident that happens before this incident happens where she's pregnant and holding her hands they go around a gallery. Bhavabhuti in Uttara Ramacharitram vividly describes this. As they keep looking painting after painting, there is a painting that talks about the couple in the serene atmosphere of an ashrama amidst the hermits. Sita says, if at all my children have to be delivered, they should grow and be nurtured in that atmosphere. Rama says, I'll do that for you. He doesn't say how. Incidentally, it happens that one of the informers called Bhadra says a handful of people are not very convinced about the character of your wife. Though Rama doesn't doubt, he says if such doubts are given space, then what will happen is the administration will become questionable. I need to put my administration and the rule of a king more than my family. So, given that instance, he too suffers by sending his wife. Generally, people say as a single mother, she suffered. Rama was against the norms. He could have been polygamous. If there was no Sita, he could have married Geeta. But he said, I am only for Sita, and he too suffered the same agony what Sita suffered due to separation. So it's beyond our scope and realm of understanding because we live in different times.
Well, talking about different times, because times change, morality also sort of becomes more elastic. Anyone looking at the Ramayana today, what are the 2 or 3 things, however, that remain constant through all the retellings, morally speaking?
People who generally we thought are very good friends, are very good well-wishers, may at times give a shock to us by turning against us for no reason. We call it prejudice, like or dislike for no reason. Kaikeyi, though she was the stepmother to Rama, she was extremely affectionate. At one point in time when the hunchbacked woman called Manthara says, send Rama to the forest, she says, I am happy that he is getting coronated. Ramova, Bharatova, Vishesham, Nopalakshaye. I don't see a difference between my son Bharata and her son Rama. In exactly 1 hour 20 minutes time, that's not even 1.5 hours, she is brainwashed to asking her husband to ask Rama to go to forest for 14 years. So, let's put ourselves in the shoes of Rama. You have seen Kaikeyi, whom you have revered most. In a day's time, she tells you go to the forest. Such is the truth of one's life. So people whom you thought are your friends and relatives, very close to you, blood relations, may at one point in time give you a shocker by going against. That's the reality of life. At times, you will make wonderful friends who have never been friends with you since your school days or college days, but they will become the thickest of friends. See, Hanuman is not a patram who comes from the beginning. When Rama is in the 14th year of his exile, he goes to Kishkindha, which is in Karnataka, Bellari. He meets Hanuman, who's of Vanarajati. He's not even of Narajati. And he makes the best of friends. And the last of all, Bharatadesham has been very accepting of people from other countries. Let's take Vibhishana. Vibhishana was extremely rich. He was the younger brother to the monarch of Lanka. But when he advises his brother, do not get into this Me Too movement of going one woman after the other, give her back to Bharatadesham. This is going to be an international issue because you have kidnapped the citizen of another country. And when the person doesn't heed to the advice of Vibhishana, Vibhishana says, if I'm going to still stay here, I'm going to partake the sin that you do. So I give up all my comforts and I go to Bharatadesham. Sugriva doesn't accept. He says, I don't know if CAA was implemented then. He says, let's see, let's Sugriva come, let him, Vibhishana come, present his case. And Rama says, present your case, I accept you, I give you asylum because there is a turmoil in your country. The law and order is not great. I will give you asylum. But once the law and order is set, you will have to go back to your country and become, but Bharata will not annex that country. See, Rama could have annexed that country, he didn't annex. Vibhishana could have stayed back in Bharata, he didn't. He made Vibhishana the citizen of that country, the monarch of that country to restore law and order. So all of this is applicable.
But treachery also is related to Ram, saying that he killed Vali by sleight. He hid behind a tree and he killed Vali. So how are these virtues? How can you say that he is a Maryada Purushottama? And I'll come to the, after you answer this, my next subsequent question. Yeah.
Very well. This is of course a slander that is on Rama, that he was not right in or justified on the rules of warfare by fighting Vali. One myth is he shot an arrow from the behind, which is not true, because the arrow doesn't come straight, take a U-turn and hit his chest. He was very much in front of Vali, just that Vali couldn't see. He was camouflaged in the leaves, because we say Maragata Manimaya Chela. He has a complexion of the dark green of the emerald, the blue of the seas and the sky, and the dark of the collyrium. So all this put together is his color palette. So he was camouflaged in the flora there. That said, Vali poses these questions, Anand. Vali says, see, if there is a tussle between me and my brother Sugriva, who are you? You're a foreign power to interfere. Why did you hit me like this? And if your wife Sita has been abducted by Ravana, how can you happen to kill anybody whom you see as a passerby? Rama listens to this. You know, there's this rule, listen first to understand and then be understood. So Rama is a very good listener. He listens and then says, Vali, are you done with these questions? First of all, you are aware that my wife has been kidnapped. You as an administrator, when you see a woman helplessly calling for help, she's helpless, she doesn't have anybody, she's asking somebody help me, you say bye-bye to Ravana, allowing her to be kidnapped. You're not doing the rule of a monarch. When you don't follow rules, you shouldn't be questioning you about rules. One. Second thing, when Vali had excommunicated his brother Sugriva from the kingdom, he held Sugriva's wife behind, with him in his clutches, called Rama. So, in a way, he did not treat his brother's wife well, and that too with a very evil eyes. That is when Rama says, how did you kidnap her? That time Vali says, no, see, we are monkeys. We don't have this concept of fidelity, infidelity amongst us. Then Rama says, if you agree that you're a monkey, nobody is going to hunt a monkey by giving a sword to hit in its hand. You will always hunt from behind the trees. So, if you agree you're an animal, as a Kshatriya, I have the right to hunt. If you believe you're a well-read monkey, then you have transitioned yourself to a human. You should have not let Sita being kidnapped.
Nor should you have held back Rama.
Held back Rama. So in all these ways, when you don't follow rules, don't point fingers at me. And the beauty is, Anand, these reasons have been given by Rama. But the beauty is, towards the end, Vali says, I have done a grave mistake, Rama. I should not have kidnapped my brother's wife. I should have not excommunicated him. I should have helped your wife. All these are my mistakes. I don't know what an irony, I'm getting this enlightenment when I'm dying. And the case is closed. But there are some political leaders in Tamil Nadu who will always say, why did he do to Vali, while he do to Vali, when they were not very respectful to a woman in the middle of the Tamil Nadu assembly in the 1990s. So they were not respectful, they will question Rama.
Well, let me just ask you, because I'm struck right now by your personage. You've got this beautiful cover of the book. You've got your...
Buy more copies.
Well, that's you know, you wear it on your chest.
Yeah.
And then you have this beautiful pundram. So, right now, you might have been reading about a report that is being sort of submitted to the government in Tamil Nadu, etc., where they're taking offense at the visible display of your identity.
Kalava. So if you were a government school student in Tamil Nadu, you would not be allowed to walk in like this. Or a teacher.
You are a teacher. So
you will not be allowed to go. How would you respond?
So if I understand, that's been some recommendation through a report submitted to the Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu.
By a former High Court judge.
Yeah. So, so if I can understand it right, they feel that there will be some discrimination in the society, there will be disharmony in the society because of all of this. I do not know if they have read our constitution well, because each one has the right to practice one's faith. As simple as that. I apply Urdhva Pundram here. because I believe in it. This is not going to be a case of national security threat by putting this, and this is not going to hurt. If a handful of people believe that this is the sign of a Brahmana, they are completely less informed. They should be traveling by the streets of the Kongu region from Coimbatore. Many Naidus, Chettiyars, Nayakars, they apply this Pundram. So, and if you think Vibhuti, the holy ashes of Shiva, is applied only by Brahmanas, they are wrong. Many non-Brahmins across the state of Tamil Nadu apply Vibhuti. So, this is not there specific only for a particular caste or a Varna, it is there across all castes. And if they believe that this is going to be the retaliation for a certain hijab issue, they are wrong. Hijab issue was completely different, where the woman is allowed to wear the hijab. Only in the classroom, for the sake of uniform, she was asked to take. But this is not a case of national security or any threat. So I will continue applying as much as the respected wife of the respected chief minister does.
There are some recommendations which also point that should not have upper caste principals. Principals should not be of a higher caste compared to the students who are coming to study there.
Many of these ministers across the Dravidian parties, I'm not naming one Dravidian party, across Dravidian parties have either been a part of temple Kumbhabhishekam, temple construction, or they do conduct pujas in their house, and they call Brahmanas with the Janeyu and the Pundram there. Let them stop all of this and then we can speak about this.
Okay, now to the second part of my question. Rama was always equipoised. That is one more thing, that no matter what, agony, death, celebration, however, he was always Samana Dharma in terms of in place. Krishna tells Arjuna 2500 years later in the Gita, in the middle of a battlefield, that all you need to achieve is equipoise in all your actions. So two, at least a yuga apart, both of them giving the same message. But both Ram and Krishna were totally opposite, although avatars of Vishnu. One said uphold all rules, go by the rules. The other said thrash all these rules because nobody is following them. Set your own rules. So which should one follow? Who should one follow?
So I'll take it up in two levels. One, yes, Rama was called Dharmo Vigrahavan, the embodiment of Dharma. And every action, every speech of his is embroidered and adorned in Dharma, so much so there is a commentary called Dharma Kutam. So he was Dharma incarnate, no doubt. At the same time, Krishna has given elaborate details in the Bhagavad Gita. Swadharma Jnana Vairagya Sadhya Bhakti Eka Gocharaha Narayanaha Param Brahma Gita Shastri Samiritaha. He is detailed on Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, talks about emotions, qualities, Sattva, Rajo, Tamo Guna. That said, Anand, you'll be surprised to know there is another side to it. Rama is generally very equipoised and all of it. When they enter the forests of Dandaka, Sita is being abducted by a demon called Viradha, and Rama is startled. He runs behind Viradha saying, Viradha, please leave Sita. At that point in time, he's so vexed with life. Just now he has entered forest, she is being kidnapped. He tells Lakshmana, I just hope my mother Kaikeyi will be happy seeing me like this. So there is an expression which you generally don't expect Rama to say. So there's another side to Rama here and there in the Ramayana. Let's come to Krishna. Krishna is generally known to be a person who would dance with the women. He has many wives. He has got many children. It's not a ration card. It's a ration book. And all these things. I don't know how many ever states can give 1,000 rupees. So, so they'll get all that money. So we know of Krishna like this, a person who generally used to lie while he used to be a butter thief and so on. But there is one instance in the Mahabharata where the son of Abhimanyu through Uttara Kumari is born as a log of wood. And there is an Ashariri Vakyam, an ethereal voice that says the person who suffices two conditions. One, he should have never lied. Second, should be a brahmachari. If that person who suffices both these conditions touches the child shall come back to life. All of them say, no, we are not planning to touch the child, and they leave. The only person left in the Sabha Mantapam was Krishna. The mother didn't want to hurt him. She said, you handle the baby. So the baby which was motionless like a log of wood. Krishna says, Yadi me brahmacharyam syat satyam cham avyahatam yena jivatu balakaha. If I have been a brahmachari and if I have spoken only the truth, let this boy come back to life. The boy came back to life. Since this boy gave a pariksha to Krishna, he was called Parikshit.
Yes.
And
he's the one who continues the ruling.
After that, and then we have Bhagavatam. See, the point is, the way we understand Sanatana Dharma is, see, Krishna, when the next door lady came and said, did you steal my butter? He said, I didn't steal your butter. The point is that lady, the Jivatma, belongs to him.
Yeah.
The cow belongs to him. The one who makes the cow lactate is him. The one who converts the cow into curd is him. The one who gets the butter out of it is him. So he has been trying to say that I didn't steal your butter, it was after all mine. So he didn't lie. And second thing, even if you're a grihastha, you're a householder with wife or wives, if you refrain from a relationship with your wife as per the Sanatana Dharma scriptures on certain days which are regarded as auspicious, you continue to be a brahmachari despite being a grihastha. Krishna followed those rules. So yes, the Rama is Dharma incarnate, Krishna is very realistic. There is also a flip side where Krishna has done everything right, and there are one or two instances where Rama has been very vocal about his
Human emotions, where he's let go or he's given into his emotions.
So while you were going over all of this, you must have become quite attached to certain pieces, certain stories, sub-stories. Give us an idea of 2 or 3 of them which you think people must definitely focus on.
See, interestingly, his first work, cinematic work, was Shakuntalam, okay, which is much later, and he's named Dushyanth. The character comes in Mahabharata. So,
I know. So, so Anand and Rahul, one which I feel was very close to my heart is, I would not have acted that way. That is Sumitra and Lakshmana's relationship. Sumitra is one of the wives to Dasharatha, but a very, very philosophically sound person. So she has 2 sons, Lakshmana and Shatrughna. Imagine one of my co-wives' son has been asked to go to the forests of Amazon. What would I tell my son? You come inside, don't go that, let him suffer. She said, when Lakshmana came and sought Sumitra's permission, Mata, can I go with my brother to serve my brother and sister-in-law in the forest? She said, do not act as if you're disciplined. You should have left by now. Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi Mam Vidhi Janakatmajam Ayodhyam Atavim Vidhi Gachatata Yatha Sukham. My dear son, treat your brother as your father. Treat Sita in my position. Wherever you go is Ayodhya. Go happily, my son. So even if her son had to lose something on the way, she was happy that her son was serving and making somebody else happy. So I was reminded, Rahul, when we were as a country of 1.4 billion plus population country, were undergoing the pandemic, we did give vaccines to our people, yet we extended our helping hand by giving vaccines to other countries. We are not a developed nation. What we should have said is, we will serve all our citizens first. If there's something remaining, kuch baki hai to hum de denge. That was not the thing. We, through vaccine Maitri, we did it. I'm not giving credit to one government or one particular person, but what I'm saying is, this is that Bharatiyata that is there because of Sumitra. Because Sumitra did this to Lakshmana, who served Rama. Same thing we did through vaccines to another country. So this is there. So this incident is very close to my heart because I wouldn't have acted that way. See, if Dasharatha tells Rama, you have to go to the forest, Rama does, it's not something great. But Lakshmana was not asked to go, but Lakshmana did, and the mother said, go. What a mother, what a son, what kind of people this land has had.
this is another interesting aspect where, and I'm coming back to the story itself, where Sita goes with Ram, but Lakshman's wife stays back.
True.
There are many interpretations to this. What's the truth? What does Valmiki have to say?
So, if we look into the Ramayanam, Anand, the original Valmiki Ramayanam, Itihasa, the history or the report as it happened, we don't have any instance where Lakshmana is going and seeking the permission or even informing Urmila. But we should also understand that every incident in the Ramayana need not have to be deliberately mentioned. See, there is no mention of Rama brushing his teeth. Does it mean he didn't brush his teeth? So, the instance is, Lakshmana would have surely gone to Urmila and said, and Urmila is Sita's sister after all. So she will have the same blood in her. So she would have said, no, no, you go, I'll take care. So 14 years hum kya karenge? Video call karenge or kya? So, you know, this kind of very understand. So don't we see, Anand, where a wife stay back, the husbands go to the Middle East, work and come. So the same thing, you know, Urmila would have said, see, I respect your dharma. How do soldiers' wives leave their husbands? So they know that their husband is doing a higher purpose, doing something better. So they say, Tata, bye-bye, we will take care of the house, you go take care of the country. Same. Rama represents the country, he represents Bhumi. So if Lakshmana says, I'm going to protect Rama, it means he's protecting the Bhumi. He's a soldier, he's a royal guard. Bantu says, Tyagaraja in Telugu, Bantu Riti Koluvu. He says, I have to be a guard to you. So Urmila would have said, go happily. So what I have done is, Anand, though Valmiki has not mentioned, I have taken that little liberty to draw a conversation between Urmila and Lakshmana, where Lakshmana says, I'm leaving, and then Urmila says, don't worry, I'll take care. And there's a nice conversation which I thought, Urmila, yes, she's not that celebrated as much she should be. So I thought, I have to make at least a page and a half for her.
That's wonderful. Just one small thing that I want to bring up. It's very interesting because time and again you're talking about land. Our land versus someone else's land. So I'm always very, very curious about how we visualized Bharat in all our fables. You have this thing called Mahabharat, for instance, one understands. So I want to ask you, you've done so much reading, you've gone through the Vedas. When did we acquire a sense of overarching identity?
Which had a certain level of geographical contours to it also.
See, at two levels, most of the religions that we respect and know of today, let's say Judaism, Christianity, Islam, they're all religions in the last 2000 to 2500 years. And Sikhism, Judaism, Islam. And if we have to take up Buddhism and Jainism the way we perceive it today, from the days of Mahavira, the last Tirthankara, or Gautama Buddha, maybe 2500 to 2800 years. But during the times of Ramayana and Mahabharata, or even more before, we did have other schools. We had Purva Mimamsakas. They were attached to the Vedas, but they didn't believe in Paramatma. So we had small schools. We had Sankhyas. They believed in a certain number of tattvas, but they didn't believe in Paramatma. So Sankhya believed in Purusha and Prakriti. Purva Mimamsakas believed in the Vedas, not in Paramatma. So we had subsects. But when we look at the characters and the geography, which to some extent I have kind of mapped in this, Bharata goes to his uncle's kingdom, Yudhajit, his maternal grandfather's kingdom, which is on the banks of river Sudhama, called Girivraja or Rajagriha, which is the current day Afghanistan. So we had our culture spread that far, and during the case of Mahabharata, which comes much later, Krishna fought Jarasandha while he was in coalition with a person called Kala Yavana. Yavana means Greeks. So we had Greek culture, and when Vishwamitra goes as he was a king, erstwhile king called Kaushika. He goes and fights Vasishtha in his hermitage. That time Vasishtha feels that he needs an army to fight Kaushika. So he calls Pahlavas, not Pallavas, Pahlavas. Pahlavas are people from Iran. He calls people from Cambodia. So there is mention of all these geography, and interestingly, you've asked this question, in Aranya Kandam, in Kishkindha Kandam, in Aranya and Kishkindha Kandam, Aranya Kandam, Ravana comes to an island and seeks the help of his uncle called Maricha, and says, you have to go as a gem-studded golden deer to lure Sita. So that's an island between Bharatadesham and Lanka called Pamban Island. And at that point in time, he says that this Maricha is seated below the tree where Garuda once held an elephant and a tortoise together. This is very important because this is an island called, that island occurs in the archipelago nation between Papua New Guinea. So Flores Island it is called, and there used to be short people called Valakilyas who were like hobbits, very short people. So we had the culture, the narration, and the content extend till the end of Papua New Guinea, and we go even till Fiji because we believe that Atreyas lived there. And we go till Laos, Cambodia, we go till Greece. So it was a long stretch. But of course, if you ask if this was the border, which was LAC, which was LOC, we don't know. But yes, the culture, the civilization had a very good influence across all these regions.
There are mention of even in the East Turkestan or the Xinjiang region of the Chinese, there are scriptures which are written in Sharda Lipi which refer to Shiva and Hari. And these mentions are there even there. Now, coming back to the story of Ramayana and Ram, one of the questions is, where I'll just get my train of thought back. Geographical boundaries. Was Ram, when he conducts, his Pattabhishekam happens, he conducts the Ashwamedha Yagna. So was he also expansionist?
It was expected of all kings to protect their territory and annex other territories in various ways, just not through force. One was through marriage alliances. In those days, if the king thought that he was weak and he believed that the neighboring king was strong, he would give his daughters in marriage to that king, thereby saying that, you know, at the end of it, this kingdom is going to come to you. So that was one way of giving. That's why you have many, many kings with many, many wives. So those wives did not happen only for pleasure. It did happen for political alliances as well. One. Second thing, there were instances where kings have annexed other lands. They have fought and they have annexed other lands. But when we treat Rama's case of Ashwamedha, we don't see many instances where he commands his ministers or brothers to go fight another king and bring it. So Ashwamedha in a way was to establish the rule of the land. See, when Vali was against Rama, and he said that my territory doesn't fall under yours, Rama said, see your ITR returns where your receipt comes. It comes to Ayodhya main road, Ayodhya cross street. So you're still under our jurisdiction. So though you may be a monarch of your region, you're still under the larger jurisdiction. So Rama wanted Dharma to be followed everywhere. If he found a king adharmic, so he would either ensure that that person is succumbed to pressure and being brought to the line of Dharma, or he'll annex it. So it was to, like how he did for Lanka. See, Lanka, it was a war fought, but then he made the person of their own country, which is Vibhishana, the king of Lanka. So he wanted Dharmic rule everywhere. You know, I will give a very modern parlance, Anand. Bangladesh land was once a part of the larger Bharata. When it split from Pakistan, we did still have an option with our force that we had to say that the land should be back to us. But we said, this is your country, but we are fighting your war for Dharma because you have not been treated well by your own country. So this is what Rama did. So all this comes to us through a civilization, and Ashwamedham was not done largely for annexing of land, but there is one instance in Uttarakandam where Rama commands his last brother Shatrughna to go to the current day Mathura or Madhura and fight the son of Madhu called Lavanasura. And Lavanasura is fought, and then Rama commands Shatrughna, make that your capital, give a good administration to your people. So Mathura, the day we understand through Krishna, earlier it was ruled by Shatrughna.
Yeah, that's the reason why the descendants of Ram fought with the Jarasandh against Krishna.
Yeah.
So that's also, but two questions, we're going to come to the last lap, 3-4 questions, then we'll wind up. One of that is the date and time of Ramayana, when it occurred. There is a lot of argument about it. Some people have said, I found the exact date to be about 7,500 years ago. Does Valmiki actually chronicle it? Is it actually mentioned, the date and time?
Okay, very, very quickly.
And also then correspondingly the place of his birth.
Yeah. So very quickly on this, as per our Purana calendars, the numbers are huge. So Kali Yugam is 4,32,000 years. Twice this is Dwapara, which is 8,64,000. Thrice that is Treta, and 4 times this is Krita. Krita, Treta, Dwapara, Kali is 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, which is 10 into 4,32,000 years. 43,20,000 years is one Chaturyuga. Thousands such Chaturyugas is the daytime of Brahma, thousands such Chaturyugas is the night of Brahma. Put together 2000 Chaturyugas is one day, like this 360 days, like this 100 years is the span of Brahma. So we say Adya Brahmanaha Dvitiya Paradhe Shvetavaraha Kalpe Vaivasvatamanmantare Kali Yuge Pratame Pade Jambudvipe Bharatavarshe. This is a sankalpam we do. I respect the Puranic statement completely. But I also believe that is a scale. See, for example, Anand, if you come home, both you and Rahul come home, I say, you know, I feel I've received $1 million or $1 million. What it essentially means is I'm so happy. You should not assume that I'll be having those 1 million rupees there. So similarly, 1 year.
He may have $1 million, I don't know. But yeah, let's go.
I'm waiting.
For the namesake being Rahul, is it? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So the thing is, it's a scale. See, when you do a map, Anand, you say 1 millimeter in the map is equal to 50 kilometers in reality. So in those days, if a king rules his, administers his kingdom without any scams, scandals, is able to administer his subjects very well, 1 year of his regime was equivalent to 10, 50, 100, 1,000 years. So we should see it from the point of scale. And the other side, what the other set of historians and research scholars say is, see, between the 10,000 and the 12,000 BC, we had Ice Age. So if knowledge has come after that, then probably there would have been human existence before. It would have just got into pralayam layam, and then it would have started. So with my limited interaction with great scholars, one Jayashree and many books that I've taken, we have done that dating in this book. We have found that 5114 BCE is the period where Rama should have been born. Again, see, if somebody asks me, give me a CCTV footage of the hospital where Rama was born, I don't have. But Valmiki does a lot of astronomical mapping. He says, Tatascha dvadashe mase chaitre navamiketitau nakshatre aditi daivatye swachcha samstheshu panchasu. On the Navami Tithi, Shukla Paksham, Chaitra Masam, when 3 grahas were in the exalted state, when 5 in case of Rama, Panchauche Lokanayakaha, Rama was born. When Dasharatha calls Rama and says, see Rama, in my Jatakam, in my horoscope, 3 grahas, Surya, Angaraka, Rahubihi are not in good position. So go. And when Rama leaves Ayodhya, there are 4 shlokas that describe that that day was a Chandra Grahanam. And so all this we mapped, and we found that 5114 BCE fits very well, and it comes exactly in the same timeline, because Sita was 6 years, Rama was less than 12 during their marriage. After marriage, they lived for 12 years in Ayodhya. Rama was just about 24 and turning 25, and Sita was 18, and that is when they left. 38th year was the 13th year. 39th year of Rama was the 14th year. He comes back. 2 years after that, she is pregnant. 41, Sita is 35. That is when she becomes a single mother, delivers her children. At the age of about 5, 6, those children return. Rama trains them and then heads back to the waters of Sarayu. So we have mapped to a large extent, but we have always said this is our research. So,
but your research convinces you that Sita was younger to Ram.
Absolutely.
Contrary to what some of the later historians and texts have said,
Yeah.
where perhaps Sita was older.
Yeah, so we have clear indication from about 5 verses in the Ramayana which have been commented by Govindaraja in the commentary called Bhushana, Maheshwara Tirtha in the commentary called Tattvadipika, Madhava Yogi in the commentary called Kataka, Trayambaka Makhin in the commentary called Dharmakutam, Vamshidhara Shivasahaya in the commentary called Shiromani, and Nagesha Bhatta in the commentary called Tilaka, who unanimously agree that Sita was 6 and Rama was 12. So this thing that Sita was elder and all of that is the last 20-year thing. The original work and the commentaries and the commentators right till Vedanta Deshika, Periyavachan Pillai, Raghavendra Tirtha, none of the traditional acharyas have been accepting of this Sita as elder. I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but this is not there in the Ramayana. Sita was clearly 6. There are 4-5 instances, and all the commentators are unanimous in stating this. People who do not believe in the original text may be telling that, but in the original text, it is very clear that our acharyas unanimously agree on it.
Agree on it. Finally, final question. Is there a rise in Dharmic consciousness? You are somebody who gives discourses across the world and a lot in India also, and Bharat also, and across the world. Over the last decade, under Prime Minister Modi's rule, which is quote unquote called the Hindutva rule in Bharat, is there a rise in Dharmic consciousness, or things are just the same?
So in 2 ways. One, yes, headed by the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, in the last 2 terms, there has been a certain wave of, respecting and heading back to our civilization, saying that we are all, after all, not that bad. We have nice things with us. We shouldn't be shy. We shouldn't, why should we not gloat about the good things like arts and architecture? So that's been there, and that's been very influential. On the other side, I will have to attribute it to the internet and the social media, because information was not that easily accessible, Anand. So people couldn't buy books. Even if they bought, so they want reels today. See, whatever book I give, 92,000 words, 96,000 words, they want it to come in 15 minutes or 15 seconds. So such videos do help. I know there is some amount of junk as well, but social media has largely helped. Internet has helped people across communities, across varnas, across languages, across economic strata to understand. See, now people understand, oh, this is a temple called Hampi in Karnataka. It's just 15 kilometers away. I didn't realize that there's such beautiful architecture there. Why don't I head back? So this urge to know more. See, to say that people have suddenly become dharmic is it's too much of an exaggeration, because first of all, that puts me in a pedestal where I believe I am Dharmic, which is wrong. So I am nobody to judge others. But with my experience of 10 plus, 13 plus years in the general public, where I give lectures to a large gathering day in and day out, I will say the age group between 15, 20 to 50 that's been listening has surged. So I see that in my audience, and so my my examples also have to be from Maitreyi Ramakrishnan of Never Have I Ever. I have to talk about Voldemort, because I have to appeal to that generation. I have to be relatable. Yes.
Great, fantastic.
Wonderful. Best of luck with this book.
Look forward to reading this.
Absolutely.
Seriously,
Fantastic.
I want my kids to read it too.
Fantastic effort.
Thanks Anand, and thanks
Very quickly,
Rahul.
the illustrations, very quickly.
Yeah.
You were talking a little bit about the illustrations. Tell us a little bit about the illustrations.
Okay, so while I was just, your questions did have that point, how do we appeal to the generation between, say, age 10 and 30 or 40? Because the habit of reading has slightly come down. Watching is more, listening is more, reading is down. So this is like 108 chapters. I've just covered about 40% of the Ramayana. So that's when I've roped in one of the very esteemed and respected cartoonists of English newspaper. He's an artist of great caliber called Keshav. He has done 60 illustrations, Rahul. And what he would do is, as I write a chapter, complete a chapter, I send the text to him. He will read, internalize, meditate, and every morning he would sit at 4, do the painting and send it to me.
Wow.
So he feels that there is a certain dharma which should go in this painting. It's just not another painting. So he followed that regime. And besides the creative paintings that he would do commensurate to that chapter, those chapters will also have characters.
These kind of illustrations.
Yeah, that is done by Upasana.
Upasana.
So if you see, Anand, every chapter will have certain incidents. Let's say Dasharatha distributes the payasam, the
Yama
pudding.
rides a buffalo.
Yama rides a buffalo.
This is one. This is Keshav. This is Keshav, and this
That's
is Upasana.
The difference is, Anand, those which are done by Upasana are artifacts that you see in temple. So people ask, did people believe in Ramayana? Yes, 3rd century Gupta dynasty you have. You have Pallava dynasty. So we wanted to ensure that all this that you read is visual in temples. So visit those temples, because if we don't promote domestic tourism, who will?
Correct.
So we have to do it. Visit those temples. If you're abroad, come home. Visit. If you are inside India, go to these temples and visit. You buying one lamp from that lady outside is going to help their family. So please go to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Please go to the pyramids of Egypt. But remember, there is a tower which was never leaning in India, called as the big temple of Tanjavur, built 1000 years back. Please go to the rock-cut caves of Mahabalipuram. Please go to the Khajuraho temples that are carved of such beauty in Madhya Pradesh. So that was the whole point.
Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatulyam Rama Nama Varanane. Who said this? To whom? You may find the answers here.
Thanks, Anand.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Rahul,
much.
for being
Best
such
of
a
luck.
inspiration.
So this is volume 1. Look forward to volume 2 also.
Yes,
Thank you, Dushyanth.
Thank you.
Thanks.